Good morning, my name is Jacob Folger. I'm an artist and a sculptor, and today I'm going to show you how to make an owl. And before we start, I want to tell you what you'll be needing for this project. Pardon me. We're going to need some self-hardening clay. This is a water-based clay. It dries very hard, but it is not waterproof. When you go to the art store or craft store to purchase it, you'll want to open the box and take your finger and press it into the plastic that's surrounding the clay to make sure it's nice and soft and pliable like this. If it's not, don't buy it. The reason why I'm telling you that is clay does have a shelf life, and sometimes it dries out on the shelf, and I don't want you to get it home and be frustrated by having some hard clay. A couple things as far as tools go, you'll need a paintbrush or two. We tend to use both ends. We use both ends of the paintbrush. You might have one about this size and maybe one that's a little bit smaller. It's handy sometimes to have a sharp knife. You can use a paring knife from your kitchen, or an X-Acto knife from your tool drawer. And then at the art supply store, they have wood and plastic tools like this. This one is very useful. I've actually had this tool here for many years. I've been hauling it around with me wherever I went. And that particular shape there is really good, especially when doing eyes and that sort of thing. The eyes of the owl. It has two ends, of course, though. And this is another tool that's helpful. You can see this end is also helpful in doing eyes, and it has a sharper end down here. The tools are not very expensive. I think they're about $9 for a package of 8 or 10 of them, so you could use that. Also a cup of water, okay, and sometimes a misting spray bottle that sprays water is good to have too. That keeps your clay moist if it's starting to dry out while you're working. And then finally, a board of some form to do your work on. It's sometimes helpful to have that. Okay, we're going to go ahead and get started, and we're going to break off a piece of clay here to make the body of the owl. I'll start by forming it with my hands like this, and we'll get that going in a kind of a round shape, and then we'll start to roll it like this. There we go. And that just kind of gets it uniform like that. Okay, you might notice this clay is mottled. It's got some red here, it's got some gray here. The reason why is because I go through a lot of clay, and so I recycle it. What I do is I take the dried clay and I wrap it in a wet towel and put it in a plastic bag, and it brings back the moisture into the clay. But sometimes I mix up the different clays, like I'll have red clay and gray clay also. Okay, so when we get it to a basic round shape like that, we're going to roll it to and fro like this to make it more oval. Okay, like that. And then maybe I'll roll it a little bit at the top, kind of at angles like that, almost like triangular shape with my hands, and I'll just get it to more of a point at the top. Now, owls come in all shapes and sizes, and of course if you're making your own owl, it is your own owl, and so you can be creative with it. And that creativity might come out later. Your owl might look more like mine when you're making your first one, but then as you make a few more, you'll find that it'll start to look like your own creation. Your creativity and you will emerge. Now I'm going to take this tool to start the eyes. Well, actually I'm going to use my thumbs to start the eyes. Let me do that. So I'll press in with my thumbs here. like that. And that just gets the indentation for the eye started. Next, you can either use a tool, but if you don't have a tool, you can use the back of a paintbrush to actually start creating the eye sockets. So what I'll do is I'll just get that started with the back of the paintbrush, assuming you don't have any tools. You don't need to spend a lot of money to be a sculptor, that's for sure. So I'm just basically pressing down and getting the eye socket together here. You know, if you had a tool like this, just to show you, it's broader, and you can just spin it like that, and it does go faster. I'm just saying though that you may not want to have it in your budget really to buy tools or whatever. It's not the end of the world. You can use other things. Alright. Just smooth it out a little bit. Get the other eye socket going here. Let's try to make them both about the same height, so they're even with each other. There you go. I've got a bit of clay right here, and I'm going to use that to start working on some of the detail. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to roll 2 small balls and put them in the eye sockets like that. 2 small balls, both about the same size. Just drop them in the eye sockets and press them in a little bit like that. Don't press them too hard. You want that definition of the eye socket going around the eyeball. Now you can add, the next thing to do is to put in the eye pupils. Now the pupils are the what you would have for the color of the eye. That's that center dot that's in an eyeball. If you don't have that, then it looks like the eye is blind. I'm just going to have them looking down and to the right. So I just press the back of the paintbrush in there, in the eyeball, slight angle, so it looks like he's going to be looking that way. See that? Okay, next I take a ball of clay, a small ball of clay, then I roll it to and fro between my fingers, creating a noodle shape, and I'll just place it over the eyeball like that, and that's his eyelid. I'll do that again for the other side. There we go. And what I do try to do is I try to make sure that the eyelid is covering the very topmost part of that pupil, so it doesn't look like he's freaked out. If you had it, I don't know if you've ever seen anybody with their eyes wide open, then you can see the top of of the white of the eye. It looks kind of funny, so I prefer not to, for me, to have that look. So once you get the eyelids on top of the eyes, you want to blend them in with a tool similar to this. Now you could, if assuming you didn't have any tools, you could use the back of a paintbrush also. But I'm used to using this this tool, so I'm going to go ahead and use it. But you just blend the top of the eyelid into the indentation of the eye there, and you do it on both sides like that. Okay. Now you can put the beak of the owl's beak on, and it looks most realistic when it's just below this indentation here. You just press a ball of clay on there and then blend that in. You can use your thumb to blend it. Okay. Like that. He looks very human. It's very common because of the way their heads are shaped. It makes them look very human. I think that's one reason why people like owls so much, is because they look like us. So the next thing, there's usually a ridge going around here like this, around the eye, and what you can do is just take your thumb and press in like that to pronounce that ridge and get it pronounced. And you can bring it in at the top here, like a little bit inwards, and then keep on going around with it. There we go. You can also just pinch out at the top a little bit to give it a little bit more definition by pinching it between your thumb and your forefinger. There we go. And that just gives it a little bit more definition, that ridge we're talking about there. And you can also smooth it with your thumb to take out any imperfections. Don't worry about getting it completely smooth, because we'll get that with a paintbrush and water once we're finishing up here. Now, sometimes owls have horns, and you can take a ball of clay like this and put it right around here and blend it into that, to the surround of the eye and also the head here. That's good. And then just maybe sharpen it by squeezing it a little bit. There we go. Maybe a little bit more clay on that next one. And you can roll it. If you roll it a little bit like this, so it's like the pressure is near the top of it, it'll create that horn look. And then just stick it on there and blend it in. Sometimes when I sculpt, I don't smooth everything out when I'm done. Sometimes I'll leave my fingerprints and sculpting marks in it because I really like that look. And also, if I do one of my finishes on it, I'll include some videos about that on the information part of this video. I have a playlist that has all the videos on the finishes so that you can follow those to finish the owl when he gets all nice and dry. But man, those patina finishes, you know, like old bronze and that sort of thing, and when you leave the sculpting marks in, it just, oh, it looks so great. It's a wonderful thing, I'll tell you. It really looks, you know, rustic and sculpted, and oh, I love it. I'll probably do that with this one, to be honest with you. Okay. So So you can also, if you need to, you can adjust the eyelids a little bit. You might like, I think this one needs to be pushed up a little bit, so I'll push it up just a little bit. You know, it's a little bit better to me. Okay, and then you can press the owl down on your table or on your sculpting board to get it flat on the bottom. And you can add definition for wings. I'm just gonna move this back here, and I'll roll the ball, and then I'll start to roll a noodle, and I'll roll it tight on one end to create a look like that. I'll squeeze it like that, and I'll make another one because I want it to be the same. These are the wings. These are the wings. You don't have to put wings on them. If you look at some of the owls I've made, I don't always put wings on them. I get the shape here by rolling one end, see? Like that. I'm rolling one end, and it creates the look of a wing. And then I squeeze it to flatten it out a little bit. And you can see these are about the same size. Some people, when you're first starting out, may not be as lucky as me when it comes to that. Getting the same size. I had somebody write to me once that asked me how I get the ears on cats to look, the cats I make, to look the same, you know, the same size. And well, actually, to be honest with you, I never thought about it. But the thing is, you with experience, I mean, you're going to get better with time. That's how it is. The more you practice, of course. So we put that back like that, and then the wings can be blended in like that. Right. Just smooth it out. Like that. You can just smooth it with your thumb. There we go. And in the back, you can add a tail very easily if you want to. So I'll just roll a ball and squeeze it and put it on there and just blend it in. And then you want to, of course, always blend in at the bottom too, so that it has some structural integrity. Like that. And there you go. So basically we got the owl. Now I'm going to leave it rough, but just to show you, if you didn't want it to be rough, you can take your paintbrush, and if you dab off, it's a good idea to dab off the extra water. You can do it on the table or a towel or whatever, but you want to be careful not to get a lot of water around the eyes, because it'll muddy it up and make a mess. And you don't want to make a mess of the eyes, because it's hard. It is a little bit hard to make eyes, so you don't want to go backwards. You want to go forwards. But you can take the paintbrush and just go around with water on the paintbrush to smooth out. You can just go around with the paintbrush to smooth out the rough of the clay. You can put it up on a board, just raise it up here a little bit. He's actually a cool owl. I've never made an owl like this before. That, of course they're always different. But, and just take your time. If you want it really smooth, go around and smooth the whole thing out. And then something I usually recommend to people, especially for their first piece that you make, is to sign it, because once it dries, it's a done deal. You won't be able to sign it anymore. So just take a sharp tool like this and sign your last name and the year on there or something like that. It's probably a good idea. And so there you go. That's how you make an owl. And it's really a fun project, and again, your creativity will emerge out of you as you practice and make more things. Your owl might look similar to mine, but then your next owl will probably be a little bit different. As you get more and more comfortable with the sculpting, you will that creativity will come out, and your pieces will become very unique, I'm sure. I thank you for watching. Please hit the like button down below, and also leave a comment for me. Tell me how I'm doing here, what you think of my video, and please also subscribe to my channel. I have 300 videos of all kinds of how to do all kinds of things. And thanks again for watching. Please visit my website at jacobfolger.com, and have a great day.